to check out, and we had to check out at 9 a.m. Eastern, which was just, it was, you would have thought we were like the dumbest humans on the planet. I'm like, why don't we just stay on Georgia time, y'all? We're all from Georgia.
Yeah, just go to the phone and say leave it
Stop.
and
Yeah,
don't automatically adjust. And
You
you're right.
can't do that because we had a house at Cape Sandblast, which is right.
Yeah,
same thing.
same
I had a
thing.
panhandle
Yes.
area
And I'm
drives me
like,
nuts.
what time is it? Where are we
Yeah.
going? What's it do? So when we were there, we literally used to mark our phones to not automatically update because I
Yeah.
had no idea where I was or what time zone I was actually in per my phone. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
thank
also-
goodness we weren't there this weekend. We really would have been confused. I don't
Yeah.
know what we would have done.
Right. You're
I
like,
think
I
that
don't know what happened.
there's
Yeah.
a tower on one side that was central and a tower on the other side of the Cape that was eastern. And depending
Yeah.
on which tower your phone picked up, set your clock. So
Yeah, we went and sat in, there's a chair down there on the beach, a big giant chair that's half in
Oh, yeah.
Central and half in Eastern. It was funny.
okay, yeah.
You're like, now it doesn't really matter what time it is.
Right, right, right. All right,
Well,
I gotta go take mom to the doctor, so I'm gonna be off video. But hey, everybody,
Okay, hi.
Good seeing
bye.
you, Elaine.
good seeing you.
We know you're still here.
absolutely. So, well, all that being said, that brings to a point that when you work for yourself, sometimes the clock gets confusing. So, I remember as teachers and everything else, when you had to go in the next day, they all reminded you on Friday, don't forget now, clocks change on Sunday. You're going to be back at work on time on Monday morning. So, so here we are,
Nobody reminded me.
Tuesday morning.
Yeah. Tuesday morning.
And-
And we are in Atlanta. So those of you that are in town, we will see you tonight. I know we have a pretty good our team turnout coming. So that's awesome. Obviously they always have their local Tuesday nights. But excited that we could make the stop on the way through and kind of add a day to our little journey. But anyway, good to see all of you today. So a couple of things that we want to talk about. We want to talk about a lot, but I want to start with Gail. So we were talking over the weekend, last week, recently, I don't really know when, about a client and just kind of going back and forth about employee life insurance. So I don't need to steal the story. Gail, you and your post this morning was excellent, right? Because I've never actually like Googled something like that, like how long does it last? What does
Yeah.
happen? All of that. So why don't you kind of give everybody the highlight or the background behind employee life insurance and the need for more?
Yeah, so it was kind of actually my post and the conversation that we had over the weekend was, kind of a blend of two different clients, two different people. One was is a client who's got really good benefits through his job. And he's got a good amount of life insurance, like $1 million or whatever, but it's all employer paid. So it's, the employer, so it doesn't cost him anything. So wonderful, keep it. But that got me thinking about another client, one of my agents actually in North Dakota. She just refers her family and friends to me and everything. And her sister, it was actually her sister. I put he on the post this morning because I just didn't want anybody to realize it was about them.
And we are live streaming.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I know we're not calling names or anything, but just
Yeah.
also we're clear. Yeah.
So it was her sister lives in Phoenix, and she was struggling with a cancer diagnosis. She was on FMLA leave originally when we first started speaking, and she reached out to me because she's like, my sister needs health insurance, and so we looked at obviously she couldn't do a private plan because she has this significant diagnosis. Looked at marketplace plans, which are guaranteed issue and do cover pre-existing conditions, but none of her doctors were in the networks. So didn't want to do a marketplace plan because, I mean, her oncologist it's the Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic isn't covered on marketplace plans. So so I told her she needs to Cobra. She needs to just Cobra and keep that coverage. Well, it's pretty expensive when you Cobra because now the employer is no longer covering anything and it's not pre-tax anymore. So it became a pretty big financial burden. And she did end up actually passing away several months later. But how much would that have helped their family in that time if they would have had some life insurance with living benefits outside of their employer? And that's what got me thinking because through that process, she told me that they terminated her job at her employer. So even if she did have life insurance, maybe it's portable, maybe it's not, through her employer,
Typically
but
not.
Mhm.
yeah, it's just, you got all those things need to be thought about, need to be considered. And if it's group term life, then it's definitely not going to be portable or anything like that. So yeah, so while she was at her most vulnerable time, they terminate her job because she went beyond the FMLA leave, which is only 12 weeks, So I started looking into that. I'm like, can they do that? Yeah,
Right?
they can. So after 12 weeks, and FMLA leave is unpaid. It's not like short-term disability, where you're still getting paid or anything like that. It just protects your job. That's all. So it was kind of an eye-opening thing, for me. And that's what generated my post this morning about, do you guys realize this? You could be at your most vulnerable time of your life, lose your job
Mhm.
and all of your benefits, and now what? Or we can be proactive and put some stuff in place. So that's what that was my thought process this morning, like 4
Yeah.
a.m. So
I mean, family medical leave is one of those things that was originally designed as basically unpaid maternity leave that guaranteed
right.
that someone that was having a baby could come back, and it could be the dad, it could be mom, whatever. But it was designed for someone to return after a set period of time or give up their job. And in this case, it was not. It was a different medical scenario. So that, knowing that and looking at benefits from work, we've always talked about the what ifs, right? What if you lose your job? What if the company goes bankrupt? What if your job goes away? All those kind of things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you have somebody that's covered well under insurance that's costing them nothing, and you're trying to think, how do I articulate to this client that they should buy life insurance other than just the fact that what they have currently doesn't have living benefits?
Yeah.
What if during this time of being well covered, they get a diagnosis and then their
Right.
FMLA runs out and then their insurance goes away, but they've had that diagnosis. And so the ensuring your insurability is something you really need to be able to articulate and understand by ensuring your insurability with a policy you own and you control. And as
Mhm.
long as you pay that premium, you've got that insurance. That's a big talking point when you're talking to anybody, but remember that when you're trying to overcome an objection, like, I got enough insurance. Most people through work don't. If you do the dime on them, they don't have enough anyway.
Mhm.
And I think Kimberly will talk about what she says in that process in a minute. But yeah,
Well, I just assume like when we're looking at their insurability need, right? We go over the dime. Who wants to tell me what dime is? Not Gail, not Stuart. Who can tell me what dime stands for?
Net income, mortgage, and education.
Debt, income, mortgage, and education. And what do we do with income? What does that mean? What do we look at?
Well, I think it depends on if they have little ones. If they've got a 5-year-old, then I think that you need to take a look at like a, um, 13 to 14 year income replacement just to get them through high school. Or if they've got like a 10-year-old, maybe we can take a look at like an 8-year income replacement time period. But, at least just getting those kids through school, that way the remaining spouse doesn't have to worry about replacing their spouse's income, and they don't need to move homes or anything like that. So
And I would
yeah.
I would take it through college. I would go a little bit beyond high school.
And
Yeah,
I
I would
would
say at
tell you,
minimum high school, but yeah.
yeah, I would say, I think your minimum rule of thumb should be 10 years,
Mhm.
income times 10, because everything that we do in our world, we want to be duplicatable.
Mhm.
What I
Mhm.
tell someone, what Jade tells someone, what Gail tells someone, what Elaine tells someone, what Stuart tells someone, we want it to be the same or very similar, right? So I think that formula gives us a constant recommendation. Debt, income times minimum 10 years. I agree with you, Jade and Gail, if they have younger kids, take them through at least high school, maybe college, depending on, their financial responsibilities. But at minimum 10 years, mortgage and education. And sometimes in those conversations, you'll get big numbers, right? I had
Mhm.
one not too long ago that was a $4 million death benefit. And they're like, what? I'm like, well, this is what it covers: debt, income, mortgage, and education. I'm not going to shy away from telling them what they need and quoting it just because it's a big number. I might not write that if that's not what they want, but I'm going to teach them that's what they need and that's why they need it. Does that make sense? So I want all of us to be on the same page with that. But when I look at the dime, and I look at how much life insurance they need, if they only have employer life insurance, I count that as zero. I don't say they have existing life insurance because it doesn't matter to me. It's great. Hopefully it's cheap. It's something you should evaluate. And in the case where the person has $1 million for free through work, obviously keep it. But it also means that it's not costing you anything. So put something in place to protect yourself in case you're not at work or you're not at that job anymore. And that's just protection, right? That's what life insurance is. It's CYA. It's making sure that you're covered in case. So I definitely think that's an important, just, I don't know, the tool formula, I guess.
Education. Yeah.
Yeah. And to know why, if you've got life insurance through work, why should we say do more, especially if you have enough, right? Stuart, I want to answer you in just one quick second. But the other thing that I wanted to tell you, I was like, what else was I going to say? So if it's free, it's free. Of course, they're going to keep it, right? But if it isn't free, that's something that you should evaluate. So life insurance through work is called annual renewable term, or ART. That means that every single year you have that life insurance policy, it gets more expensive, right? And as you get older, life insurance gets more expensive. So when they're young, especially if they've been at work for a long time, then they've, claimed their benefits at 25 or 30 or whenever it was, and they just left that same thing just roll, right? Every single re-enrollment year or whatever, they don't really think about it again. As they get older, our external policies are typically significantly cheaper than their work policies. So if you're in that situation, say, how much is it costing you? And run a quote. Because if ours is cheaper, it's definitely better because it's independent. It's guaranteed premium, right? They're not going to have to increase their premium every single year. And it also has living benefits. So just ask those questions and look at that information. Obviously, if they can't qualify for life insurance, take as much as you can through work. That's a no-brainer, right? That's a different conversation. But rule of thumb is ask the questions, look at the information, look at the numbers, run the quotes. But it still makes sense regardless to have life insurance outside of work. Stuart, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say if they have life insurance at work, the biggest objection you're gonna get is you're gonna say, well, I have life insurance at work, I don't need that. And then you kind of go through and figure out what they have. Usually, I've never seen $1 million policy on someone at work. Usually it's 1 to 2 years of salary. I've never even actually seen 3. So the conversation to say, well, we don't need more than that is you just, okay, so you have kids, right? Yeah. So you're dead 2 years. Where your kids live next? And then you do the hardest thing in sales and you shut your mouth.
Shut up.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of this too. I've cost myself a lot of money by opening my stupid pie hole. And you just let them think, and they will stew on it, and they're going to say, well, I don't know. And then right before they fall into that chasm of despair, you can pull them back and kind of save them a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to kind of walk them down the idea of you're dead forever. Your money's gone forever. Your kids are not. Your family is not. And they don't think about that. It doesn't occur to them because we cannot conceptualize. We understand eternity, but we don't really get that.
I think a lot of people just think, well, the house will be paid off, so the debt will be paid off.
But will it?
That's what they think.
Right.
2 years salary?
Yeah.
Maybe, depending on where you live.
You know what, actually, Stuart, is way different now in the enrollment. We all know that. It's no longer 2 times. It's like 5 times. These guys are not, the employers are no longer doing 2 times, but it doesn't matter because it's still term. And if they leave, it stays. Even if it's portable or convertible, it's still not going to be the cost that what they're getting. And if it's free, it doesn't even matter. The point is that most of the stuff that is employer owned or administrated through the employer, you're not going to take with you. And if you do, it's going to be very costly.
Right.
Yeah.
However, I just came off an enrollment, and Gail and I were talking about, these people are $100,000 earners at least. And the problem is they don't know how to use their benefits correctly. And more importantly, it's that 401k that is not being utilized properly. I'll tell you, Zach, that video that you did on unqualified me, I probably sent to at least 6 people already, because I am learning more today that people, I didn't realize people were actually doing 12 to 15% in their 401ks. And I
It's
thought,
Yeah.
insane.
Yes.
and I was like, whoa, you guys, I'm telling you, if I took every name from the company I just enrolled, every single person was putting like 1,000, 2,000 a month in their 401k, 15%, not 5, that's being matched, 12, 14, 16. I'm like, these people are crazy. They don't know what they're doing.
And
Anyway,
they don't know, right?
Yeah.
right.
So one
I'm
more
going.
thing to bye Sheila, go back to the airport. One more thing to think about, and somebody on their computer might can do a quick Google search while we're looking. But if I'm not mistaken, if it is an employer paid life insurance policy, what is a perk of life insurance? It's a tax-free death benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, an employer paid life insurance policy is only tax free up to $50,000 of the death benefit. That means the
That
other,
is correct.
right?
It's imputed otherwise. Correct.
So if I have $1 million death benefit paid for by my employer, then I'm going to get a $50,000 tax free check,
Mhm.
and I'm going to get a $950,000 taxable check. What's that do to you?
Mm-hmm.
Whole nother reason to have life insurance outside of work, right? To pay the taxes on the life insurance you got for free through work. I mean, it's like winning the lottery and losing half of it to taxes. I mean, not that if you die, you win the lottery, but anyway, just all these pieces, these little nuggets, right? For you to know, it just gives you talking points. It doesn't mean don't have employer, life insurance, don't have employer paid life insurance, but understand what you have and the consequences of what you have. So I thought that was a great talking point today. Before I go to you, Stuart, I'm going to show you guys something that I think is important. So a lot of times, you guys know that a lot of my days are spent field training. Field training means if Angela calls me and says, hey, Kimberly, I need your help with a client, then I'm going to come in, I'm going to sit down, she's going to introduce me, I'm going to have the first conversation, right, which is our F&A, our financial needs analysis, just asking them questions, gathering that initial, I guess, snapshot of where they are. And then that second appointment, we're coming back to give them our recommendations. And if you guys have been on appointments with me, you've seen those recommendations. And for a lot of people in the last couple of weeks, they're like, oh, I could never do that. And I want to dispel that myth right now, because you can all do it. Thanks to Jade. She took all this thing that we had and templated it for us, right? But we have a document, a form that literally goes through our recommendations. And it's not high level rocket science recommendations, but it does take it in each section: increasing income, controlling debt, emergency fund, proper protection, building wealth, and preserving wealth. And it's literally fill in the blank. So the basic recommendations are there. They're static, they're standard. You don't ever have to change them. You just have to plug in the things that change. So I'm going to share my screen. And say something?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we don't really talk about with this document a lot is when you talk about sales in general, you can take these recommendations and break them down into 5 or 6 different sales, and it's going to take you a lot longer. Or you can make it a one-time close where you show them the plan and you take them through those step by step. So usually when we get finished with presenting this document to the client, we're like, you understand where we are through all these things. Now we need to start here with proper protection. And then we go through the transactional piece without having to say, now we want to sell you term. Now we want to sell you that. Now we do it all because it's a process. We show you where you are. We show you where we're going to take you. And then we just do it. We just roll through those things with them. And it's a lot easier than, say, starting out with somebody and saying, let's just get your term in place, because you're probably not going to see them again at another meeting unless you've got something really compelling that they feel the need to have. So that's what another great thing about this presentation is. You don't just go back and talk through. It's an outline of your appointment too, which is also great to keep you on task, but it also gives you good prepared talking points to show them how our 6 steps work.
So I'm going to share that document with you. I put my email in the chat. If you don't have a copy of this, or if you want an updated version, you should probably want an updated version because I've made a few tweaks to it. Send me an email and I will reply to that email with this document. This is not in replace of field training. If you haven't had field training and you haven't been on second appointments and seen how it's presented, this isn't so you just do it yourself. You can, but ultimately it is meant to show you that it is not rocket science, right? It is something that once you understand the products you're recommending, you can definitely do. So you guys know, and you'll hear me say this, I think until forever, but I always want to take that paper needs analysis because I want to engage with them. Even though I can pull it up on my screen and type into it and all that kind of stuff, I still feel like we lose some personal relationship with that, right? So when I'm taking that, as they tell me their goals and dreams, right? They wave their magic wand, tomorrow looks just like what it looks like. I write it down verbatim. And when I transpose, when I when I put it into all these words I'm trying to use today, I don't know if they're right or not. But anyway, when I put it into the other document, I use their words that they gave me because, again, I wrote it down verbatim. So when I present this to them and I say, and these were the goals that we talked about last week, and I read their words, every single time you see a big smile come across their face. And it's because whether they realize it or not, they're like, oh, she listened, right? That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I want to do. And whether they realize they're happy because you listened or you're just reminding them truly of their goals and dreams and their words, it matters. So do it that way, write it that way, repeat it that way. But let me show you this, this document. And just, I've done this a couple of different ways, right? And I've had to always go back because Jade sent me the one where she put the, just the basic bullet points in. And on my computer always auto saves. And so I go in like making this person's plan and then I would overwrite my original, right? So I've had to train myself to save a copy, rename it before I start typing in it. So that's a little tip for you.
Kimberly, I was literally just about to say that. I was about to say I have it saved twice. I have one saved as like, and it's like labeled like the original, and then I have another one saved as like editable, and then that's the one where I will go in there and like put all the people's things, and then I save it as a PDF in like an individual client file for them, and that's the one that I sent it on. So
yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
And, learning pains, right? I was like, and then I have to go back to your email where you sent it to me, right? And I was like, okay. So yes, either way, whether you have one that's editable and the original, or you have one, if you just save a copy before you start editing it, make sure you do that. If not, then you're going to have to go back to the original every time. I always, just like Jade said, change it to a PDF. When I'm meeting with the client again, I'm going to leave it in a Word document because I can still edit, right? I can still type it. And I do share my screen with that and say, let me go over each of these areas. I blow it up where they can only see one section at a time, because I don't want them to see all my recommendations and move forward. Sometimes I laugh. I'm like, I'm a teacher. You can't read ahead, right? And so I'll scroll it up. But I do that on purpose. So I have them engaged with me. But after I finish that appointment and I've presented it and I know there are no tweaks that need to be made, before I send it to them, because I will send that document to them. It's probably the only thing I'll ever send them. I will send that to them. I do change it into a PDF just because, I'm sure you can edit a PDF too, but it feels more permanent, right? It's not like, Gail, this is what you said to me, and you're like, no, that's what you typed in after I met with you.
That's a big thing when you're talking about, and a whole nother conversation, but documenting your conversations with your clients and your recommendations and all those kind of things. It's very important to have a record of what you said at that point in time. So a PDF version of that's a little more difficult, right? But at least when you send that document, you can always go back to that email and that document, and it's in a non-editable format.
Not that anybody will ever have clients that, challenge you, but just in case, right?
Yeah, right.
Seaway, just like life
Mhm.
insurance, buy it outside of work,
I
right?
see Stuart's face. He's like,
Yeah,
what?
I've had every client challenge me. I've asked questions, and even Kimberly was like, I don't know. Why are you asking me that? It's like, because I get asked this.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ask Matt, ask Google.
Yeah.
And just like Jade said, definitely save it in a client folder, and just, have a digital folder for each of your clients that you've met with. I promise you, a year from now, and like Zach said, that serves as your notes, right? If an insurance company came back and said, you put all of their assets in an annuity, you didn't leave them anything liquid, you could say, I don't think so. Let me pull my notes from that meeting. That is your note, right? That you
Mhm.
literally have asked them everything. So you definitely have that proper documentation, but also a year from now, when they're like, hey, Jade, I want to do this now. What do you think? You can pull up their information. You can look at it and say, well, based on our last conversation, this is where you were. Let's have that same conversation again and see where we are today, or 10 years from now, or whatever. So I definitely agree with keeping all of that, keeping those notes and changing it into a PDF. So I'm gonna dispel.
Yeah.
Is that the word I'm looking
Sure.
for? I'm going to show you the magic, right? There is no basic, it's basic. So here, financial lifestyle strategy, and this is what I would do with a client, right? I'm putting it out so all you can see. So literally put their names and their date of birth in parentheses. So if it's Kimberly, I put my date of birth and Zach, and then I put Zach's date of birth, just so I remember on this form, this is their date of birth. Dated, when did I first meet with them? List their goals and dreams. This is where you're literally taking data that you took from the last appointment and typing it into this document. It's not hard, right? It's not rocket science. Type it in. How much can they afford to set aside on a monthly basis to reach their goals and dreams? This is that very last question on the F&A. It is so important to put that here. You are putting it here in that document, right? So when we finish talking about goals and dreams, I say, Stuart, you said you could do $1,000 a month, and you could comfortably afford to set that aside to reach your goals and dreams, right? You remember saying that? He's like, yeah. He's recommitting to that savings again, right? And that's what our plan has been based off of. So increasing cash flow, and you'll see some of the things that have changed. So multiple streams of income are always key. This is just basic education that you're giving them. You're delivering value, right? I added this the other day because I think it's important. Just create a spreadsheet, just kidding, for your basic budget, right? Include all of your required spending, like your mortgage and your utility bills and your car payments. Like, that's required, right? And the date that it's due. And then I want you to tally that on an Excel spreadsheet by pay period. The 1st through the 15th, this is my expenses. Not food, not gas, not things that can vary, the things that are going to come out of your checking account one way or another, right? And then if you get paid traditionally the 1st through the 15th, take that money, right? If my bills are $3,000 and my income is $4,000, tally it there. So you know you have $1,000 left the 1st through the 15th. Do the same thing for the 16th through the 30th, 31st, right? And do that same amount there. That should show you what you have left to spend on anything else, right? Whether it's savings or gas or food or whatever that is. But just a basic spreadsheet to give them that information. Also, we always recommend using a budgeting app, which is step 2 to that, right? It goes into a little more detail. You can really qualify it, things like that. But a lot of people aren't going to use a budgeting app. So if they at least do that spreadsheet, then we at least have a basic outline of their particular budget. And then finally, consider using the 50-30-20 plan to budget for your needs, wants, and savings. 50% goes towards your needs, which is your housing, right? Your food, your utilities, things like that. 30% towards your wants, which is eating out, Netflix, Hulu, no more YouTube TV because they lost college football, right? We all saw that over the weekend. And 20% to your savings. Arguably, you could flip those, right? Depending on how committed to your goals and dreams you are, you could flip that. But that's just a clear idea of how much you can save and spend monthly. Stuart, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was gonna say, if you guys don't have an Excel spreadsheet for the budget stuff, I have a really good one that I can send to Kimberly, and then she can send out
Yeah.
to the masses.
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be great. Send it to me, Stuart. Thank you. Typically in this section, that's all I'm going to put. I'm not adding anything here. There's no real recommendations I can make in the increase in cash flow section other than you have to make more money. You should come work with me. Start a lawn care business, go flip things on eBay. I don't really care. I can tell you our success story and the income you can make, but regardless, you don't make enough money, right? That's going to be my conversation here, but it's not rocket science. It's here, it's scripted for you. Put it in, deliver the message.
And back, just kind of a little quick aside, one of the big things here when you're talking about this too is every employee that's on a W-2 needs some sort of write-off. They need a business. They need some way that they can tap into the other rules of the tax system that we all live under. In case you don't realize that, there's one set of rules for people that are employees, and there's one set of rules for people that are business owners or self-employed, and they need that. So this is another piece of information. The reason, like what Sheila mentioned, that so many of these people that are making this money are overfunding and max funding their 401ks is for a tax deduction. So if you can teach them these concepts, not in this, but that's just another piece that they need to understand about why you need multiple streams of income. Well, I'm doing okay, right? I don't really need more income. But what about more write-offs? What about, you need to diversify yourself and understand the other things that are going on.
So that's increasing cash flow, right? There's nothing magical there. You don't have to change anything there, right? You just have to type in their income and read the bullet points. Step number 2 is debt management. This one, and I just put these taglines up here, right? Mortgage, credit cards, student loans, installment debt, IRS, medical. If they only have a mortgage and one credit card, delete the rest of the words. Right? You don't need to put that there because it doesn't matter. Delete make this specific to them. Those are there for when you're filling this back in, you're like, oh yeah, they have this. Oh yeah, they have this. If they have zero debt, congratulations. That's huge. If they don't have zero debt, then if they just have a car and a mortgage, congratulations. You only have your mortgage and a car. That's amazing. You don't have any credit card debt. That's huge. Give them a win, right? But if they do have credit card debt, give them this education. And I'll leave this here regardless of if they have credit cards or don't. Only overpay one credit card at a time. When the first card's paid in full, take the monthly amount, roll it to the next one, repeat until you're out of debt. Put all credit reporting liabilities on auto pay for the minimum payment, not the balance, because then you could mess yourself up, right? But the minimum payment, so you never miss one. If you miss a $25 a month minimum payment because it wasn't on auto pay and you forgot you put a $50 gas bill on your card, shame on you. And it happens over and over and over. But when you miss a minimum payment on a credit card, not only does that affect mortgage possibilities, right? If you were refinancing and purchasing, it can affect your car insurance rates. It can affect your life insurance rates. It can affect all these things because everybody pulls your credit, right? To see how worthy you are for their best pricing. And that's true. So take the guesswork out of it. There are tools out there to make your life easier. Use them. If you overpay your credit cards, then go in after your minimum payment or before it or whenever and pay your $500, but let that $25 come out automatically. Don't take that off auto pay ever. And then finally, review your bank and credit card statements at least once every 6 months to check for auto pays or recurring drafts that need to be canceled. Obviously, I hope you look at it more than once every 6 months, but at minimum, pull a statement from every account you have in June and in January and look through them and go, what is this? And cancel them. You might find a couple $100 a month of just stupid spending that your kids had an Audible account for 3 years and you didn't realize you were spending $17 a month. And now you've got 3,000 unused book credits. And then you're like, do I get books or do I cancel Audible? Right? So make sure that you're just on top of that because any of that, it might not make you rich, but it's still wasted money that's going out.
Not only did I have one YouTube TV account to cancel when they dropped all of the college football games, I found 2, one coming out of my personal account and one coming out of my business account. Now I can definitely afford another streaming service that doesn't have that problem.
It gets to be more than that, right? So I actually just did this for my family. And between Quick Trip, Dairy Queen, and Hawks, taking the kids out, doing fun things after soccer and celebrating wins and stuff like that, I spent like $640 in the month of September. My wife, who is amazing and wonderful and perfect in all things, will not be outdone Spent $750 at Target. Somebody asked me what we bought.
What'd you buy?
I have absolutely no idea. That's $1,390 in a month that I can't account for.
And those aren't even auto pays and recurring drafts.
Yeah, it is
Right.
so easy to swipe a debit card, guys, and just buy something because the money's there. Who cares? Kiss and a prayer. It's fine. Whatever. Every family in America is doing something like that. Now, maybe not as bad as we are. Like we got a little out of control there. Got a little sideways. But you
just-
can find probably $500 in a budget.
Yeah.
It's
Ours
just
is
that you
Amazon.
have to pay attention.
Yeah.
We have 6 of us in our family. Only 2 of us live in the same house now, but there's Amazon stuff that's getting delivered to all these different places.
Don't
And-
tell Amazon. We're live streaming on YouTube.
No, it's legal. It's fine, but that's why they let you put multiple addresses in there. But I have one Amazon credit card that's in there that my kids use, and they usually ask, and we're usually on a phone call like this, and we get a text message, "Hey, can I order what's in the Amazon cart? How much is it?" Boom. But if you go back and break all those things down, and you're looking to truly make a plan and truly make a successful change in that, you'll see that money's there. Anyway, go ahead.
So in this section, and again, that what you talked about, Stuart's more up here in the budgeting, right? Like, where's my extra money going?
Mhm.
But the auto pays and the recurring drafts, that's huge, right? That's it. Just kidding. And I'll keep making y'all puke. The other thing I'm going to do, if they have credit card debt, I don't care about the interest rates. It doesn't matter to me. But I do want to know their minimum and their actual. And I'm going to go through each of those. And I'm going to say, you're overpaying by $300 a month. That $300 a month, stop overpaying all of your cards and take that $300 and put it to this one. And then I take their minimum payment plus $300. So let's just say it's $350 and they owe $800. Well, I know in 2 months that is gone. So at the end of 2 months, I want you to take that $350 and pay it to the next one. So $350 plus the $100 minimum is now $450. So pay $450. And I give them that step by step. You can run it in calculators or you can just do it by hand. But I give them that guidance and I say, you're going to be out of debt in 2 years. And they're like, what? Really? Just not adding extra money to your debt payoff, just restructuring how you're paying it, right? And that helps them and they're excited about that. And the other thing that I added is use Credit Karma to track your credit score. A lot of people do. Credit Karma is free. It's something that I use for my kids. As soon as they turn 18, they get a credit card and Credit Karma, and I make them understand it, watch it, become obsessed with it, because your credit runs a lot of your life, right? Like it or not, it happens. And so if you're paying attention to it, if you get a collection, if you miss a credit card payment, if you have too high balances, then you're like, maybe I should just spend my actual money, not my credit, right? And you can see how that is affecting your credit health. And I think that's important for everyone to use. And just to have a snapshot of where they are, and to keep tally of that. But again, in this section, I've said nothing magical. I've taken their data and I've input it here and I've taught them how to overpay their credit cards. That's it, right? I've given a lot of education, a lot of information, but it doesn't take, an astrophysicist degree to decide how you're going to explain this to them. It's literally basic information. Step 3 is emergency fund. You're going to hear a conflicting question of, is this 3 to 6 months of income or 3 to 6 months worth of expenses? My answer is always income, because 99.9% of the people that I meet with can't set aside money monthly, or at least a significant amount, which means I don't need to go through their budget to see what their expenses are to tell them what 3 to 6 months income or of their expenses are, because they need every penny they make. Right? Makes sense. So I just say, if you make $10,000 a month, you need $30,000 to $60,000 minimum in a liquid account, in a savings account, and an emergency fund that you can access and pull from. So here, checking accounts, savings accounts, I'll just put the information here. If they fund it monthly, I'll type that out. If they have like a money market, because that's liquid, I'll put that here as well. And then I just say, if they can't afford, if they can put $1,500 a month away and they're delinquent on their emergency fund, like they don't have enough, maybe I take $500 and put it here, and that would be a recommendation. But if they don't, then I'm just going to say, as you make extra money, split it between debt repayment, savings, whatever. I'll tweak that recommendation, to fit them. But again, basic, no rocket science, just giving them education and information. Step number 4 is proper protection. List out their current life insurance and term. So I would say, Gail, $1 million through work costs nothing. And that's what I would write there. She has nothing outside of work. I'm going to give her credit on this form for her $1 million, but I'm going to do her dime as if she had nothing. And I'm going to explain that to her. I'm going to say, Gail, based on your dime, you need $2.5 million. I know you have $1 million through work, but I'm not going to count that. And this is why. Where does this $2.5 million come from? I'm going to explain it to her. And then the only thing here that I'm going to do, I'm not putting IULs in this section, anything like that, because in my mind, an IUL is typically a retirement piece as well, right? I would put, if I were doing the VPP with that AAS rider, you like all my 3-letter acronyms, I would put that here because that purpose would be life insurance, permanent life insurance. But I'm going to say, Gail, a $2.5 million policy with Corebridge for a 30-year period of time is $175 a month. If you want a 20-year through Corebridge, and you don't care if it's Corebridge or not, I will have, probably priced the difference between North American and Corebridge. And I'm going to say a 20-year would be this amount, or $1 million 30-year would be this amount. I'll give you a couple of options there, and then we will just talk through the education. But quoting a term policy is easy, right? It's literally just going into the back office. They're quick quote term policies for North American and Corebridge. Put their date of birth in there, how long you want it, how much you want it for, and then estimate what you think their health is. Add that there. Simple, easy. It's not rocket science. Now, building wealth, and that's the first section that you've made any recommendations that you can be paid on. By the way, you've given them a lot of value for free. Now let's make some money, right? Building wealth. What is their retirement goal? I want to make $15,000 a month, $150,000 a year, whatever. Make those changes, right, to this form and say that. What is your Social Security? Do you know what you're going to make in Social Security? If they don't, leave that as a question mark. Your 401ks, how much are you contributing? How much is matched? Do you have pensions, IRAs, 403b, stocks, annuities? List them out, right? Merrill Lynch, 100,000. Edward Jones, 50,000. Old 401k, 250. Whatever. Just list them out there. Recommendations are the same and they're staying the same. So confirm Social Security income and timing so you know you're guaranteed for life income from them. Go to ssa.gov to create an account, see your projected benefits. Let me know when I see it, right? I'm going fast because I really want Stuart to speak too. So if you hear me like, investing rule of thumb, and none of these change. These are standard, right? Investing rule of thumb, free money, a match on your 401k is free. If you're getting a 7% match, you're putting in 15%, we should redirect the difference, right? But a match money is free money, take it. Tax-free money, which is like a Roth bucket on a Roth IRA, Roth 401k, or your life insurance policies, or taxable money. So contribute the match to your qualified accounts, but no more. That recommendation stays the same. You just read it. Give them a couple little pointers about what you all heard us say, and that's all you got to say. If they, contribute to a simple IRA or 401k or whatever, you can, make that adjustment or delete it if that's not applicable. To protect against tax and legislative risk, if you're recommending an IUL, this is a great one. Take the $500 a month that you've freed up, right? Plus the $1,000 a month you said you could afford to set aside, so $1,500 a month, and redirect it into an IUL. Based on the illustration, this provides an additional, whatever the illustration says, of tax advantage income from age 65 to 90. If you're illustrating it from 55 to 80, obviously make that change there, right? But these words are designed not to get you in trouble. It's telling you based on the illustration that we ran, this is your projected income on a tax advantage, not tax-free, right? So it's saving you from yourself, but you're literally just plugging in that recommendation. If you're not recommending an IUL, delete it. It's easy, right? And now we finally come to your old IRA and 401k options and 403bs or whatever lump sum money. What are my options? I can move it to a managed money platform, give a little, 1 second blurb, 30-second blurb about what is managed money, actively managed money versus just riding the market up and down, right? Move to an indexing fund to protect, or an indexing product to protect against loss with good bonus options. This is like your F&G accumulation product, right? Or move to an indexing product to protect against loss and guarantee income. In 12 years, you'll have whatever the income for life is based on your current balance, right? If I had this conversation last week with a 48-year-old and a 38-year-old. The 48-year-old, I recommended both, and I said, choose. The 38-year-old, I took out the nationwide option because it's not time for her to turn an income stream. 12 years isn't long enough for her, right? So that's not there. Or move a portion into real estate diversification for diversification in your portfolio. Decide what you're most comfortable with, and we can split it if we want to. It doesn't have to be all or one. So you've literally told them everything we can do with those 4 options. You're not running illustrations for them or anything like that unless you're showing them income. You're giving a 1-minute highlight on each of them and saying, out of those 4 options, Gail, what intrigues you the most? And then you're only going to talk about those other 2 pieces, but they know we're moving that money somewhere, right? Simple, simple, simple. Not rocket science anywhere. Covers everything that we do. And if it's not applicable, delete it, right? And then finally, preserving wealth. You don't currently have a will or a trust in force. Review your, or if you do, review it and update it as necessary. To create your will and trust, use NetLaw. Insert your personal NetLaw link there, right? And say, I'll also send you a link via email as well. So again, it feels like it's rocket science, but it isn't. It is literally all scripted. So all you have to do, other than type in what they've said to you, is run term quotes. Look at the lump sum and monthly money they have to set aside outside of term and decide where that's best fit. And the lump sum money, you're telling them, what do you want to do with it? Here are your choices, right? You're not making those decisions for them. You're giving them a snapshot of what you think and saying, where you want this money to go. And they're deciding. So I hope that helps. I hope that makes it feel less like rocket science. If you want that Word document, send me an email. I'm happy to forward that to you. I know there's some tweaks since you made it, Jade, like Credit Karma and just a couple of, like, I added that last section with basically Cal Choice and all that. So if you want me to resend that to you, then I'm happy to. Just send me an email so I don't remember who I missed and who I didn't miss. So with that being said, I hope it helps. I want Stuart to take the last of today, and I want you to talk to them about this crazy system that we have and how it just works. And you hit yourself against the head and you're like, is it really that simple? And fight against it. And then when you do it, it's like, wow. Okay. So your story, your turn.
All right. So one of the best things that I was ever told was to be smart enough to be dumb enough to just do what you're told. Right. This isn't rocket science. Nothing we do is magical. So I'm going to challenge you guys today to be smart enough to be dumb enough to just do what you told, right? So I've been having a little bit of success getting names, prospecting, meeting people, saying, hey, I'm willing to sit down and interested in to hear about what it is you're doing. But the reason that I'm having that success is I'm trying to talk to everybody. I know I'm not. There are plenty of times during the day where I'm like, I could have talked to that person and I didn't. But when I was in Atlanta, Jody said something. He says a lot of really, really good things, but something that really hit home for me was if you're not talking to somebody about your business every day, you're not in business every day. Right? So I am going to challenge everybody on this call, whether you've been in the business forever like Zach and Kimberly, or you're new like somebody else, I don't know. But when we were in Georgia, we got these little Corbridge notebooks. Right? And there's a left page and a right page. On the right page, I want you to write down every single person that you didn't talk to, right? You could have talked to, for whatever reason, you chose not to have a conversation with them. It could be because you were afraid, or you didn't think they were interested, or you didn't feel like they had time, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Just put it on there. On the left side, every single person that you did have a conversation with. And put an X next to everybody you didn't give an opportunity to hear your story or whatever it is, and put a check mark next to everybody that you did, right? I would bet the farm that most of you run into a number of people every single day and you never share what it is you do. A number of you have conversations with people every single day, and for whatever reason, don't share what it is you do. If you write this down in a day, you're probably going to get 15, 20 names. It's 20 opportunities that you passed on to not grow your business. I did it the other day. For me, it was embarrassing because I don't like the idea of missed opportunity. I like to think that I work hard, and then I realized that I wasn't working nearly as hard as I could. So I'm going to challenge each of you to do that. And the reason I feel the way that I feel about that is I have 5 hard and fast rules that I try to live by every day. I don't always succeed, but I wrote them down to make sure I don't get them out of order. First and foremost, show up every day. That doesn't just mean clock in, walk through the doors, sit at your desk, whatever the case may be. I mean, body, mind, and soul, be present in your appointments, be present in your conversations, be present in your business, be present in your family, be present everywhere you are, and be fully engaged, right? Like we have these things, right? It's really easy to be, looking down and playing on our phones and goofing off, or I have a screen up here I'm out myself. Facebook is on my screen up here, right? It's really easy to not be engaged. So when I say show up every day, I mean show up. Be on time. Time is your most valuable resources, but it's your clients' most valuable resources as well, right? You want your clients to be on time. Your clients want you to be on time, right? But that also means following through on the things that you said you're going to do. That list that Kimberly was just going over is gold. When you say you're going to send it in 20 minutes, send it in 20 minutes, not 21 minutes, not 25 minutes, send it in 20 minutes, right? Something I'm bad at. Sorry, team. Work hard, right? It is hard to talk to everybody you run into every single day. It can be exhausting, especially if you're more of an introvert and you have to develop that skill. But there are a number of formulas to be successful in life. None of them leave out hard work. Like it is the foundation of everything that you're going to do and be successful in life, no matter what it is you do. So make sure you do that. Remain coachable.
I'm so proud of you.
Be smart enough to be dumb enough to just do what you're told. I tell Kimberly every time I see her, Kimberly, you're always right. She will confirm that. She is always right.
Hey guys, really quick, let me interrupt. My plane is leaving, but I just want to say bye, and it's awesome listening to you, Stuart. I'm loving it. So you guys have a great day.
We love you. Safe travels.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
So yeah, remain coachable, right? There's always new things to learn, regardless of what industry you're in, whatever it is you're doing. I was skeptical going to Georgia. Like I'll get something out of it. It'll mostly be review. But I tried and I did keep an open mind and I got a lot out of it. So that, and I credit Zach and Kimberly for putting on a good weekend, but I also have to credit myself a little bit because I just kept an open mind. I remained coachable. I just put something on the internet today. There is no good or bad. There's only your interpretation thereof. Right. So it doesn't do to think one thing or the other before it ever happens. Like being pleasantly surprised in life is nice, but it's no way to go through life. The last one, and if you forget everything else that I said, do not forget this one. It goes last because it's the most important. Never lie. Norman Schwarzkopf once said, if you're going to have 2 things in life, have character and have a plan. But if you're going to lose one of them, lose the plan. Right? Your ability to generate and garner trust, not just with clients, but with people in general, is the only currency that you could ever really have. And once you lose that, it's done, right? And the other 4 don't matter. So when you have those conversations and you make that list, be honest, not just with everybody on that list, but be honest with yourself. Are you showing up to your job every day? Are you being on time with what it is you're supposed to be doing? Are you really working hard? Or are you just telling yourself you're working hard? Are you remaining coachable? Or is it like, I don't need to listen to that. I know it already. I know a lot of things. I'm astonished every day by how much I don't know. I learn from everybody I speak to. So if you keep those 4 and then just keep your character intact, the sky's the limit. You guys can do whatever it is you want, but you got to do it. And I'm finishing on time because I'm respecting everybody's time.
I know,
time is important.
I don't even know that you need to wrap that in a bow, do you?
Fantastic job. Great to see everybody this morning. Thank you, Stuart and Gail, for your contributions, and everybody else that was here. And
See you Hotlanta people
see you
tonight.
tonight if you're close enough to get here. And otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow at noon.
Bye, guys.